Welcome back to Game Galaxy, and today I wanted to talk about the positives of video games. Now, this isn't going to be a full-on lecture or anything or studies about that, but we often hear so often about how video games are bad or make you violent or whatever. And the reason I thought of this idea to talk about is I was scrolling through my Facebook feed a couple of days ago, and a girl on there I know who's a wonderful mother and has homeschooled kids made a post that said, "Hey, I was on a private, Facebook group, and somebody said I was depriving my children by not having a video game system in the house. They don't have any video games." And she was like, "I can't be the only one, right? Nobody that has a video game?" And so a lot of people were chiming in and being like, "No, not us," or "We haven't." So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity to comment. And ultimately, I stand by what I say, which is, it's up to her if she wants to, what she wants in her household and what she wants her children exposed to. But I just said, but I've played video games my whole life, and allow me to tell you some positives from my personal experience. And like I said, I'm not going to pull up studies or all these things. I'm just going to give a couple examples and talk about how video games have positively affected my life in, a positive way. And the number one reason I brought up was, now this might be less of a reason today because now there's a lot of voice acting, but growing up, a staple of my childhood gaming were LucasArts adventure games, and I spent a lot of time reading in games. And whether or not it was a LucasArts game or not, but there just weren't voice actors back in the day, so you had to read text on screen. But I played a lot of those adventure games growing up, like Monkey Island, Zack McCracken, Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, all that stuff. Although Day of the Tentacle had voice acting, so forget that one. But a lot of text, a lot of time was spent reading on screen, and I think that helped me develop better reading skills, honestly. Whereas, some kids in school would be having trouble reading. I read all the time. So sorry about the jump cut. A loud plane just went over me, so I want to cut that out. But the next aspect was Shenmue. When Shenmue came out, not only did it blow my mind, but Ryo Hazuki, the main character, served as a role model for me, not only in confidence, but in just dedication. And the most importantly, that game caused my friend and I to get into martial arts and train that for many years. And as a result, that helped develop our bodies in a healthy way and helped keep us in shape. So that positive came out of that. And then also, when I got to high school, I made friends with this guy, great guy, he's one of my best friends. And he was, I had grown up having piano lessons and doing the very boring piano lessons of like dun 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 da 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 da, really boring and droll stuff. So by the time I got to high school, I had stopped with piano lessons, and maybe I still played on my own or banged around on the piano, but I wasn't progressing. And it wasn't until I met this friend, and he was, I hung out with him, and he was playing this beautiful music on the piano. I was like, what is that? And so he told me, "Oh, this is music from Final Fantasy." And I was like, "Final Fantasy?" I was like, obviously I heard of it. I was like, I never really played one. And he was like, "Dude, you gotta play 7. So because of him and video game music caused me to get back into piano. And really that's when I took it upon myself to practice a lot and, get any skill that I have. I haven't played in quite some time, so that's another topic. But, so everyone's always like, "Oh, Jamie, you're so talented. Well, it was because of video games that caused me to get an interest back in piano and practice, which later added to me joining a band and playing in a metal band for a while. And then also I created a full-length piano album. Now, I'm not, selling millions of albums or a professional musician at all, but those were so many elements that came from a video game and video games in general. And of course I got into the Final Fantasy franchise, and I played all the games, which then led me to discovering more music that then I wanted to learn and play on the piano. But all these other offshoots happened because of video games. So I thought I'd come on and share some of that today. And I shared that with her and said, ultimately it can be, beyond those positives that I list, it can be such an imagination explorer. I think the problem is to people on the outside of the hobby look at it and what do you see? You see what the news talks about. So you see Mortal Kombat back in the 90s, or you might see Call of Duty, where it kind of looks brainless, but as we know, there is so much more to the world of gaming, and it just, for me, and the last note I left with her is that it's a really an imaginative experience that I can't quite explain. Like when you, I'm playing Skyrim right now for the first time. I didn't do it back when it was 2011. I am just, the imagination of that world just invigorates me, and I think it, a lot of any imagination I had in life really helped from seeing other creative worlds from other creative minds. So let me know what you guys think that are positives of video games. Let me know the positive aspects that have touched your lives coming from video games, so we can talk about the positives and get positivity out there, not so much negativity. Anyways, I'll talk to you next time.